Cool.
Internet Explorer.
I.e., nothing like it, man.
All right, let's go. Another day, another fantastic episode of Chopping It Up. I am Crunk Chocolate. I'm here with my show bros, Sharpie Charlie. Tarek, how's it going?
Hey, it's not a good day to be a City fan. Well, to be truthful, every day is a good day to be a City fan, but some days just you end feeling better than others, and today is not one of those days. So, but it's good to be on here, man. Good to be on here.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Man's in denial.
I understand.
You know what,
it's
man?
just-
We struggling. We struggling. That's okay. The team is struggling. My life is great. My personal life is wonderful. I'm taking joy in me and the people around me, because that club over there across the pond, they got their own things to figure out. Let Pep deal with that problem. But I'm happy to see y'all tonight.
Y'all keep talking about this club. I don't know what y'all talking about. We're here for our guest, this fourth person that has just been sitting here, man, just glowing in yellow, especially in contrast to us wearing dark colors. We
came from a funeral, my guy.
Wait, are we in mourning? Subconscious mourning is crazy.
Oh man, said he came from a funeral. That's crazy.
Oh my gosh. We have
an Italian funeral. Wow, we went to a Catholic funeral today. That's crazy, bro.
Oh my gosh. Once again returning, looking fly as ever. He's always doing his fashion thing. Shout out Shady Gang, one time for the one time. Give it up for Aaron West. How do you say that? Oeste?
Oeste.
Oeste.
It's just Spanish for West, just so people know.
Oh, okay. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Multilingual, worldwide. I see you.
When I first saw the handle,
Appreciate
I
y'all
like
having
this
me,
guy.
man.
I like this guy. This guy,
Oh,
he
man.
gets it. He's bilingual. Estamos bilingüe. I love it.
My man.
Oh man. Let's start here with something that is over or underrated about football. We'll start with overrated.
I was thinking about this when I looked at the show prop. Control. I think like a lot of managers are obsessed with control. Your manager for sure, my manager. But I think it is overrated. I think there's that whole joke. It's like I talked to this girl all night, like, and at the end of the night, some dude stole her off me. He's like, "You had possession the whole time, but you." that's it. We're not talking about possession of humans, but it's the joke stands. Like it is not everything. The score sheet does not show possession; it shows goals. So as much as I rate control and having control of the match, I don't think it's the end all be all, and I do think it's overrated.
That was.
Let me ask a follow up to that before you get to underrated. Do you think there's it's hard to break it down by numbers, but what's the ideal attack? If control is overrated, right? We don't want to get 75% and do nothing with it. Like, what type of game state or match like state is the right mix for you as a fan?
As a fan, I like a good bit of possession. I like to maintain possession, but I also like, it really, really irks me when a team has the opportunity to break and just like for the sake of keeping the ball, will just keep the ball. I'm like, bro, go. Just go. Like, I love a team that can counter, will counter, likes to have the ball, but is fine without the ball. I like flexibility in my teams.
Yeah,
Sounds like you're talking about Chelsea, and I'm so jealous of them. They do it so well, and it pisses me off.
And Maresca is building a squad. He is building himself a team. Well, the billion is pretty. You can do
that. Well, for underrated,
hold on.
No, go for it.
Going back to Chelsea, though, do we think that because obviously Maresca come up under Pep, the issue is the I guess the roster, right? We don't even have the players to be able to do that consistently. So even if we wanted to, like, Doku can get out and run. Savio somewhat on the other side. But outside of those two, we don't even have attacking players that can get out and go at you at pace. So even if we wanted to, the roster makeup is such that we can't. Do we think that if Enzo has been there longer as opposed to his first year, he's manipulated the lineup and the roster to look differently, and so he doesn't even have those same options? Because again, Nicholas Jackson. Oh, I guess I should have included Holland too, but Nicholas Jackson and others are getting out and able to run. But if he gets his players in, does he change the squad makeup such that he gets rid of those types of players?
To me, it's not necessarily you don't have the players. It's that your manager does not want to play that way in the slightest. If you were set up like if Pep wanted them to play more run and gun, more counterattack, Savinho could do that. Grealish did it a lot at Villa. He would look like a faster player if he didn't turn around every time he got the ball.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Could do it
Because he irritates me.
It's. I mean, honestly, he only became that player because he's doing what Pep asked him to do, which is to keep the ball. He became very risk averse, and he kind of looks sad now. But yeah, I think like if that was the ask, your team could do it, but it's absolutely not the ask.
Yeah, and on to that, let's give him a few more years because Pep, once upon a time, had a fun run and gun squad. Arteta at the start of Arsenal was fun and run and gun, but after a while, you just kind of get tired of losing those close matches, and they tighten things up more and more. And now we got Pep the curmudgeon having our team just 70. What was this against Juventus? 69% possession, but 0.97 xg. Like, that's not great.
See, I was
Man.
talking about Chelsea, and I was trying to highlight, the young brothers out there doing great, led by that great black man Cole Palmer. And here you all go, bringing it back to our funeral. Look, guys, we got to focus on the black
My bad.
joy.
I can't help
I
myself.
Okay.
wasn't
I can't
winning
help
the whole
myself. My
conversation
bad.
for a bit, but I just
I was just trying to set up Aaron to be like,
My boy
let's
said he
talk
gonna
about
keep y'all on
them.
task. My
I
boy
respect
said he's gonna
myself.
keep y'all
That's the
on
teacher in me,
task
man. I'm
tonight.
on task, bro.
Yeah,
I'm on
Listen,
I'm
task.
with you.
I'm not
I
gonna.
appreciate it.
I'm not gonna wax lyrical about Chelsea because I hate that team. So I will give them their due, but you're not gonna lead me down that path.
There we go. That's
No.
enough. Okay.
We can keep it moving and talk a little bit about Serie A because I know you're a fan of that league, and currently I would say it is the most competitive league out of the top 5, and that's just because if you look at, I believe it's 1 through 5, they're separated by 3 points. It's maybe even 1 through 6, and you never really be surprised who's going to win. They're showing they're doing their thing, but you're the person who pays them more attention, respectfully. And I now ask you: do you believe that Serie A is the most competitive league out of the top flight leagues?
It probably is the closest run one year out of year. Like you never really know who is going to win it. Like usually the last few years it's been City and someone, with City usually winning it. Outside of last year, it's usually been Bayern in Germany. In Spain, you're gonna see Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atleti at the top just about every single year. But I think Italy is unique. I think, especially in the last few years, because they've had to kind of come to a reckoning of like in the late '90s, early 2000s, Italy was it. Like in the '90s and 2000s, even mainly '90s, early 2000s, Serie A was the league. But with the changing finances, the way the world works, everything, like they fell quickly behind. But I think clubs have gotten very creative. Um, by far, managers in Italy, I think the managerial cast is the best. I think the best managers are coming out of the Italian uh, managerial training system. I think that they're producing the best coaches. I think that the lack of funds in a lot of ways, and like kind of where Italy pulls from, where they scout from, is made it a lot of tactical diversity, a lot of player diversity, a lot of like because of budgets. Another thing, gyms where being really good at scouting and development. So I think all of those things come together to make it a really ultra competitive league year in and year out. And even without a ton of investment, you see them doing well in Europe because they're tactically sound. Um, so yeah, it's a especially like I think if you really start to watch it, you realize there's a lot of goals scored. Like there's that whole uh, the stereotype or the whatever the stigma that it's a very defensive league, but that is not the case anymore. It's a tactical league, but it is not a defensive league.
I feel like when I watch Serie A, I just pay attention to highlights and stuff. The only manager right now that's kind of like we talked about control and holding the team back would probably be Conti, right? And even his team, like, is set up to go. Like they, he loves this counterattack, but every team can give you goals. And like, I love the young talent that comes through. I think it's interesting to see how you have Inter, which is kind of like year in, year out, right? Like we know they're gonna be top four. But then like you might have Atalanta pop up and like, can they sustain it for a whole season? You might have AC Milan, who's like, okay, we have talent. Are we gonna be consistent enough, right? Or injuries, or whatever. So it's like you said, with five people, I could go either way and I could feel confident about my club. And that's a definitely a different feeling than if you're in PL or if you're in, like you said, La Liga. Is like, if you're not one of the big four in the Premier League, it probably ain't happening for you, bro. Like it's just not. But like you
Yeah,
said,
we're probably
Italy,
not going to see a Leicester
hopeless.
again.
Nah, that is an admiration for a reason. Like it's one of one, and it may never happen again in our lifetime.
Okay. Uh, I wanted to stay in Serie A, but with a little tinge of Premier League. You've seen a lot of players like Moise Keane. He's top 3 in goals. Adamola Lookman, thriving in Serie A. Nuno Tavares, he leads the league in assists. I wouldn't think that. Lukaku, there are just so many players who have left the Premier League to Serie A and are now playing as well as you expected them to for their clubs in the Premier League. Do you think, is there a reason for the success elsewhere, or is it just as simple as players, once they get older, they kind of figure things out?
I think this is one of those things that just fascinates me in general about the game. How certain players are better suited to certain leagues. Sometimes a club for the player is just the wrong place to be at the wrong time. Um, Sometimes a player just needs to get a little bit older, a little bit more mature. Sometimes it's just literally a new situation, a new start, and like all these things come into play. I do think one of the big things about players that leave the Prem and are successful other places is often it's they're more successful in a place where the game is a little bit more measured. It's a little bit more cerebral. It's a little bit physically slower, maybe. Maybe it's not quite as much about how much or how fast you can run, but what you can do in small spaces, or what you can do tactically, and more. I'm not saying it's a more other leagues are more cerebral, but the pace in the Premier League is so high that some players just simply aren't suited to that type of football. It's very very transitional. Like you see, even like some players going from leagues to to MLS. You see, they can't handle it because it's so transitional. Some players just are simply not built for that. They're not comfortable playing that way. They don't want to play that way, and it's not suited to their strengths. So I mean, you see this a lot. I think the difference in style when you see clashes in Europe, like the game in Europe is more measured. It's slower. Some of the English teams sometimes struggle, sometimes they do well, but like it's just a different game, and different players, different strokes for different folks. Sometimes it like even within leagues, situation is not as good. I look at Charles de Ketelare, like he went to Milan, and like the biggest thing for me is like that place has broken many players. And you can't really fully understand it, I think, until you like literally like walk out of into the San Siro and feel the pressure, like and feel like what it's like to walk out of that tunnel, what it's like to stand on that pitch and have like 70,000 something people while they're thinking